Hello everyone, my name is Susan Sobrad. I'm an educator, a researcher, and most importantly, a creativity champion. My current research revolves around creative ecosystems in classrooms, focusing on teacher moves and their impact on student perceptions of their own creativity. Today, I'd like to share with you a model that makes sense to me in terms of crafting a successful creative ecosystem in the classroom. I've been a teacher for a long time, and in all that time, creativity is still commonly equated with getting out the art supplies to create an end product. This narrow view of creativity is persistent. The results, in my belief, of this pervasive view of creativity is that the creative potential of students goes largely unrecognized and underdeveloped because and by our I mean teachers, students, administrators, researchers, and the general public, our definition of creativity is too narrow. Creativity can be expressed in a thought, a moment of discovery, and inspired simply by noticing the world around us. Creativity can be expressed in the addition of seasoning to a dish or an unlikely combination of apparel. Creativity can be expressed when good friends develop the ability to communicate ideas without speaking. I wanted to ferret out a way to gain access to this hidden creative potential in students. My initial research involved taking a look at the data from the 2022 PISA Creative Thinking Assessment. I wanted to investigate the relationship between what happens in schools and students' creative self-efficacy. Here are some things that I found out. First, there were high creative self-efficacy scores for those who considered themselves to be artistic. Not surprising. This suggests that the narrow definition of creativity exists even for students. Creative potential exists in every person, whether recognized or not. Next, the classroom environment was more important than the whole school structure. To me, this indicates that a teacher has an opportunity to facilitate creative work and bolster creative self-efficacy. Next, students' willingness to try new things was related to teacher support. And finally, there was also a strong relationship between creative self-efficacy and having good friends. Because collaboration can build relationships, it seems to me that this implies that collaboration can also build creative self-efficacy. In seeing that teacher moves such as support and providing opportunities for group work do matter to students in terms of their creative selves, I decided to explore whether or not giving students opportunities to participate in simple creative challenges enhance their ability to use creative habits of mind, thus enhancing their creative self-efficacy and their willingness to engage in creative problem solving. Student teams completed a series of short, unstructured tasks with the intent to inspire creativity and enhance creative responses over time. I also administered a pre- and post survey to gauge student perceptions. Here's what I noticed based on survey results. Before participation, students had high overall perceptions of their own creative self-efficacy. They were confident in their ability to solve problems. They had less confidence in their ability to access their creative habits of mind, such as noticing, perspective taking, ideation, synthesizing, embodied thinking. The post-survey revealed that students' belief in their creative self-efficacy didn't waver. They all still believed they were highly creative. As expected, post-survey results did indeed show higher student perceptions of their ability to engage their creative habits of mind, and their divergent thinking task scores went up. There were also some unexpected findings. Students' perceived level of stress when faced with creative challenges was lower in the post-survey. Lower stress levels was a good result, but it does make sense that exposure, or rather practice, in tackling creative challenges reduces the anxiety of having to be creative. However, students' belief that they could solve problems creatively went down. A lower belief in their ability to creatively solve problems seemed discouraging, until I remembered the PISA study and the implied narrow definition of creativity. It's my belief that prior to the intervention, students thought about creativity in terms of paints and products. However, when faced with creative mini-tasks that involved science, technology, engineering, they were less assured that a creative response was appropriate. And accessing the mental agility to respond to unstructured tasks became difficult. Perhaps with the evolution of a greater level of ideation during collaboration, choices were so plentiful that decisions became more difficult, or more likely, they didn't see that solving an engineering problem was creative. However, what that low score implied and what I observed were contradictory. Based on my non-participatory observations, their creative responses were not diminished. Observed team conversations became more animated and participation increased. Wild ideas were accepted and expanded upon. Students were able to generate ideas, challenge each other on the efficaciousness of those ideas, defend their ideas, build on the ideas of others. Creative problem solving was obviously in play. These findings reinforce my thinking that even though creative potential exists in all students, students are not aware that their very thoughts are a creative enterprise, nor are they aware that engaging in activities that do not have a single right answer can lead to surprising discoveries and enlightenment, which are also creative responses. They don't seem to know that collaboration cultivates creativity and that that's okay. Support for these ideas may be found in Galvano's Perspective Affordance Sociocultural Theory of Creativity, nicely summed up with this quote in his work. In evaluating creativity, we would have to consider the person as a whole within his or her context, co-developing over time to have a proper contextual understanding of how, when, and why someone expresses him or herself creatively or not. As opposed to common theories that focus on personal and product attributes, Galvano's theories suggest that creativity is grounded in the difference between perspectives exposed and explored during conversations with team members. It is this dialogue that allows students to uncover unexpected ways to solve problems. This thinking lays the groundwork for educators to design classroom systems that stimulate creative flow. In the aftermath of this study, I conceptualized a model with the intent to explain the symbiotic nature of three aspects of classroom ecology that I observed. It was evident that, when supported by teacher action, the presence of these three factors can enhance the occurrence of creative flow in schools. In this model, self refers to student beliefs about their own creative meaning. Habits are those cognitive processes that lead to successful problem solving, and tasks are what students are asked to do. Students are given a task with a goal but no other guidelines, where success is assessed on process rather than product. These aspects are reciprocal, each reinforcing the other when students are engaged in creative work. In surveying students and observing student participation over time, this reciprocity was evident. With looming failure removed from the equation, students were able to access the joy of playing with ideas, and creative flow emerged. When time was up and students were disappointed, they couldn't continue. This exemplifies the widely accepted description of flow as a situation in which participants are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The experience so enjoyable that participants will do it for the sheer sake of doing it. That was observable during this study. Educators have the ultimate responsibility for cultivating these three aspects of creative flow in the classroom, and can do so in three ways. 1, by configuring the physical classroom setting to facilitate teamwork and dialogue. 2, by structuring the curriculum to facilitate low-stakes, high-interest work. And 3, by interacting with students in ways that encourage creative habits of mind. The first of the three factors of the model, self, is most directly related to teacher interaction. Self-efficacy increases when educators recognize and reward small moments of creativity, the surprising use of a word in a new context, for example, and make those moments visible to others. Affirmation is key to instilling creative confidence in students. The rewards can be small. Sharing with the class, posting the work in the classroom, even a piece of candy can all serve as reward. The second of the three factors, creative habits, are enhanced when educators teach students the art of noticing. Asking students to examine a natural object from multiple perspectives, close up, far away, inverted, inside out, while at the same time students voice what they notice, helps them find wonder, which leads to curiosity and creative responses. Intriguing problems lead to engagement, while feedback from peers during collaboration can lead to the serendipitous discovery of new ways to act in solving the problem. The third factor, tasks, are successfully orchestrated when students have enough domain knowledge to come up with a solution and adequate resources to execute that solution. Ambiguous and unconventional tasks such as inventing a new organism from found objects or imagining digital stories based on random images encourage curiosity and incite engagement in divergent thinking. Tasks that require collaboration allow for idea sharing from different perspectives, and as a result, students begin to expand their view of what an acceptable solution might be. Rather than focusing on outcomes and resource-consuming end products, when educators embed creative micro-practices in their classroom routines, students are empowered to recognize creativity in everyday thinking and doing. In conclusion, a creative classroom ecosystem fosters creative flow. When students practice responding to open-ended tasks frequently over time. When teachers nurture creative self-efficacy by accepting, modeling, noticing, and sharing students' creative moments. When collaboration with others supports and encourages use of creative habits. And when tasks are ambiguous and failure-free. The mutualistic model of creativity emphasizes that creativity cannot be taught as product. Rather, creative flow flourishes in an environment that nurtures multiple, interlocking strategies centered on creative thought, student agency, and low-stakes risk-taking. Thank you.